Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would show you guys what I do for my summer makeup. Now the weather's a bit hotter, I'm a bit less dry, I'm a bit more oily down here, and I have definitely different problems than I do with the winter, and I kind of go for a different look than I normally would. I don't quite go quite as heavy, she says, with a full coverage foundation on, quite as full beat. So I thought I would show you guys what kind of products I use and the kind of look that I go for and how I achieve that. So if you're interested in seeing that, seeing how I got this look, then keep on watching. And if you like these kind of videos, then please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you press that notification bell down below, you won't miss an upload. So we're going to start with my favourite foundation, the Maybelline Superstay one. And although I have the shade 05 Light Beige and it's a bit too dark for me, I'm just going to use the rest of it up because I absolutely love this. And then I'm going to get 03, which I believe is True Ivory, and that should hopefully match me a bit better. But this I like because in the summer, even though this is super full coverage and you see people doing these videos and it's not about that, to me, I feel like you can still look summery and be full coverage. I feel like it's all about how it lasts and how you feel in the foundation. This is my absolute favourite foundation and it is super full coverage, but I feel like it helps control oil almost. Like, I'm not oily, I have dry skin, but in the summer I get oily here and here, and I feel like this helps with that. And it also complements my dry skin because I still get dry skin in the summer, so in my forehead it still looks really good. So I do like to use a sponge for my foundation application, as I find that it looks a bit more natural, and that is kind of what you want in the summer. Like, it's not super natural, this isn't like a super skin-like finish, however I'd still rather have as much of a natural finish as you're likely to get. Don't disclude full coverage foundations just because it's summer. You can use any foundation you like. This isn't a summer routine that is exactly going to fit everyone, but it's just what I like to do. So if you are looking for something concealer wise with a bit more light coverage to make your under eyes look a bit more natural, that kind of thing, you can use the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I feel like this concealer is very lightweight under the eyes, and although I have creasing because I have like wrinkly under eyes, that's to do with my under eyes specifically. If you have fairly smooth under eyes, I think this would work really well for you. I do like to take some concealer down here just to add a little bit of coverage on my nose, because like I said, when it gets a little bit oily, I do like a bit more there, just because I tend to lose it fairly quickly there. Just conceal those spots, maybe a bit on the top lip. So I do put quite a bit of concealer on, but I love it. And so I just tend to blend that out with a sponge. Just helps brighten up the centre of the face as well, especially when you're wearing a foundation that's a bit dark for you like I am. Now, wearing the foundation that's too dark for you isn't exactly what I'd recommend, however, but if you're like me and your favourite foundation doesn't match you, you kind of got to do what you got to do. Next is powder, and your powder will really depend upon what you want to achieve by it. So your tinted powders for your under eyes are going to make it look like the same shade as the rest of your foundation, which you don't want. However, in the summer, if you're going to be taking pictures, you want to be careful of powders that have flashback. I'm not going to be taking any pictures today, so it doesn't really bother me. But I'm going to be using the Barry M Ready Set Smooth Powder for my under eyes. It's a bit more white, as you can see, and helps control the oil. So I'm going to apply this to my under eyes to prevent it darkening and then becoming the same shade as my foundation. I am just going to powder the entire socket just to set the concealer that's on the lid as well. Make sure I get plenty of powder just to set my under eyes. So next, I tend to take a powder that's less kind of white and almost prone to flashback, just in case I do then decide to take pictures. The only bit that's going to look a bit bright is my eye area, which I don't mind so much. Just to set my nose, I'm going to use this Coty Airspun powder, and I'm going to just set here and here, because if you leave it long enough, this foundation you can blend product on top of. However, I find that if I don't set down here and down here, my foundation's gone by like the end of the day. And this is a really long lasting foundation, so it kind of looks really odd because you have like the rest of your makeup just there looking very similar to how it started, and then you've got no foundation like here, and it's just not pretty. So I don't mind having a non-translucent powder on this area. I do really like the Coty Airspun. It has this very specific, like you can smell it on the brush, this very specific scent, and I absolutely love it. So if you are more oily prone, you're better off setting your entire face, because I feel like then you're going to have like less oils coming through. So on my more summery, more natural makeup days, I don't contour. I feel like that can look a little bit harsh, and I don't think that's what you're after. I feel like I like quite a light makeup almost, apart from the foundation. Obviously I go for like full beat. At the moment, just to kind of create a nice fresh look, I've been using the L'Oreal Life's a Peach blush. Currently I've been using this one, which is a bit more angled, which you would think it was for contour, but I find it fits really nicely here, and I do really like it for placing blush. It's one of the ones from a studio set that I got years and years ago. But you know, makeup has no rules. You do you, you do what you want. So I find it's a gorgeous peachy tone, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. I'm not quite as into my pink blushes now that I have such a nice peachy toned blush. And this blush is amazing because it doesn't cling anywhere. And you want just a nice light flush of colour on the cheeks. So if you've overdone it a little bit like I have, you can just take your old powder brush and go over it a bit, just to take away a little bit of the intensity. And you haven't put a lot of powder on your face because you haven't set your face if you're not so oily, so it's not going to look super powdery doing it this way. See, I quite like that. And the next step I feel is a little bit more optional. I don't always do this step, but I thought I would do it just to show you guys. So I like to dip into the Bleach London Contour Nudity Pan in Bones 4 because it's a bit warmer. I can almost use this as a bronzer, which is kind of what I'm doing today. So I tend to take a big fluffy brush like this and try and like coat it as best I can, tap off the excess and almost bronze with it. I don't want like a super precise application. It is fairly warm toned and I don't want a lot of product. Just something to kind of melt into the blush and just warm my face up a touch. Pretend I have a glow. And you can even take this around your forehead. But for those of you that like to bronze your forehead, just lightly. Just to warm your face up a little bit. Like, I don't feel like it's like too bronzed. I definitely feel like this is really subtle, and that's what I like about it. The Bleach London Contour Pan is very buildable, so you can use it in this way as kind of a more dispersed bronze look because it has a little bit less of a grey tone. Highlight is really important when you have such a matte look to make the face glow a bit. This isn't a super dewy makeup look, so your highlight is where you're going to get all the shine. So I'm going to take the Soph X Revolution palette, my absolute favourite highlight palette in the entire world. Probably go in with a mix of these two shades. It's like my favourite combination at the moment, and the combination I've been like wearing like all the time. And then just brush it onto the face. Oh, that is gorge. That's a really nice colour. You can always mix your highlighters. Say you've got one that's a touch too dark for you, don't go too dark. That's how you end up with like an ashy streak on your face. You can tell that I don't have an ashy streak because it doesn't look like a dark line. It looks a little bit bright, but not too bright, and that's how you're going to go too pale. If I think straight up white on this shade of foundation would not look quite as flattering, which is why I mix the gold in. It suits the tone of this foundation a bit more. Now, highlight is completely up to you. I like to put quite a bit on, as you can probably tell, and have quite a blinding glow going on. If you've got a lot of texture, you have to be fairly aware of where you're placing it as well. I have quite a bit of texture here, but I don't mind highlighting that a touch just because I love the glow. However, you can go for a more subtle glow, but I don't know that this is necessarily the product for you. That is your more subtle glow, I'd say, with this palette, but I always put quite a bit of product on, so my looks are never so subtle. I then take some of the white shade on a tiny brush like this and take it a little bit down the nose and just on the tip here. You can also use it, I tend to do this normally after I've done my eyebrows, just to highlight the brow bone. I'm also going to go back in with my Luxe Powder Fusion brush, and I've been taking to highlighting here just very slightly, not too much. You don't want like that crazy glow like you can have on your cheeks. It doesn't look right. It looks a bit much. So if you just take a little, you can just highlight up here. If you have like a super matte look, that can bring a little bit of dew back, looking a bit more natural than this thing that I've got going on here. Now for my eyebrows, I'm going to probably do them the same as I do every day. I've picked up a few new products recently, but I feel like just powder in your brows is a little bit more natural looking. You don't want, like, I feel like a sharp brow pomade kind of brow isn't going to look super natural, and therefore is a little bit like less summery. So I'm going to take my beat up, busted, you can see where I put all my nails into it, the Revolution Redemption palette. But honest to God, you can tell that I've had this light lid off for a while now. You can see where all my nails have gone in. Oh, it's looking beat up. I need a new one. So I do just dip into this shade here for my eyebrows with the 17 eyeliner brush and just mostly fill them in. I define a touch, but not too much. That's how it stays natural. So I definitely think you can tell that this product is drying up. My eyebrows are looking so patchy at the moment. Not hot, not hot at all. So I'm going to probably fix my eyebrows off camera and I'll be right back. So I fixed my eyebrows, which honest to God took ages. I definitely need to replace that. That brow powder is, that eyeshadow is not a good brow powder anymore. But what I'm going to do, I believe, next is going to be my eyes. So with my eyes, I tend to go for either like a super bold lip and natural eyes, or like a really nude lip and like whatever I want on the eyes. But I think I'm definitely feeling more natural eyes at the moment. So I am just going to dip into one of my new favourite palettes at the moment, the Soph X Revolution palette. So to start, I'm going to go into Cup of Tea here. You can just take any fluffy crease brush and just placing it just above my crease. Christ, I took too much. Been blending for years. This is the thing, these are so pigmented that it's quite easy to take too much. But then I should have tapped my brush off. That bad Jess Makeup 101. See, it should be done this way, where you take a little bit, you can always add more. Over top, I'm going to dip into Tiramisu with the same brush. This is the Morphe M433, and it's a really nice kind of almost tapered brush, but it's also quite fluffy. So it does fit nicely where you want it, but it also blends as you're placing the colour, which I really like. And I'm just going to go a little bit lower, just kind of on the upper edge of my crease, and just pop that in and pull it round a bit. Not going too far into here, just working it round. And then what I like to do is take a brush that doesn't have anything on it and just blend these edges out just to make sure they're nice and faded, and making sure every colour is blended together properly. So that's kind of what I like to do for my eyes these days. I don't feel like it's super complicated, and it's a super quick look that you can do if you're really busy. It kind of adds a little colour without it being like the full glitter fest that not everyone's into. I'm going to come back to mascara probably at the end. I think next what I'm going to do is lips. So because I'm doing such a super like natural eye look, I can jump in with a nice bold lip. So I'm going to use my new favourite lipstick formula. It's the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink. I have the shade 80 Ruler. Now I love this formula. I've worn it quite a bit recently. It lasts all day. I do also tend to overline my lips just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more shape. And that is a nice bold lip, which isn't everyone's cup of tea always for a summery look, but the other lipsticks in this formula are in all sorts of colours, in nudes, in like greys, purples, all sorts. You've got a lot of choice with this lipstick formula. So before I move on to mascara, the problem I have is at the moment with like super wet mascaras, I'm finding that if I spray a bit early, they transfer down, and that is not what you want. So I'm going to go back in with my favourite MAC Fix Plus. This helps melt your makeup together and make it look dewy. So if you have to powder a lot as someone with like oilier skin perhaps, then this is fantastic. And this I find just melts everything together, and your makeup just looks like airbrushed, super flawless, gorgeous. So finally I'm going to dip into mascara. What I like for mascara in the summer is something kind of almost wispy and volume. I feel like if you're going for like a natural eye, volume in your mascara is quite important. She says quite important as if mascara is one of the most important things on the planet. The thing to watch out with this mascara is I find it quite clumpy. However, it does give you a lot of volume, so just be aware that you may have to kind of remove some of the clumps. Maybe a spoolie to spool off the excess is a good idea. Not that I have that. Ah well, but this is the finished look. This is kind of what I tend to do on a day-to-day basis as my makeup anyway. I kind of wear this to work as well, to be honest. I also got asked at the petrol station after work, was I going in or was I coming away from work, which I found like a proper compliment because I felt I looked haggard. But this makeup held out really well, so that in my head bodes well for it. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, then press that button down below, and if you press the notification bell, you'll be notified every time I upload. Thanks for watching.